Okay.
Absolutely.
Remove that,
Yeah,
because
so-
that was never.
And we
Okay,
did work with that, didn't we?
It's 10 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 9th. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome Reverend Sid Stein for the invocation.
Well, thank you for the welcome. It is an honor to be here as always. Thank you for those that enjoyed the potato bar. Thanks for taking that fun. Seems like you have a serious day today, so let's go to the Lord in prayer. I didn't bring anything additional today for you except for this. I will tell you this. Today at Atchison United Methodist Church, we have the great honor of welcoming our bishop. In the United Methodist Church, the Council of Bishops is the highest authority of the church over our global thing. And ours is all over Kansas and Nebraska, and his name is David Wilson. And he is the first Native American to serve as a bishop there. And it made me think today, wow, why did it take so long to do that? And it also reminded me that Atchison, of course, is a place where, there were nations before, and there were governing councils before any of us were here for sure, but for anybody who looked like any of us that were here. And I think maybe today might be a good time to pause, especially as you're talking about roads before you came in, of where roads go and lead to. But those councils that met in this place, probably close to where we're meeting today, did so and were elected because they elected people who they knew would take care of the orphans and the widows and those that are the poorest. And that seems to be the grade of which all communities are judged upon and should be judged upon. Certainly biblically they are. So I'm just going to leave you with that, not knowing what the issues are, but leave you with that as we consider any time that we honorably meet together, that know that we do so on the shoulders of others who came. Let's go to the Lord in prayer. Holy and gracious God, you call us to be a people of peace. We are a community only because we have relation with one another. And so we give you thanks for all of those who came before and for the honor to be in places of leadership and speaking out in our today. I would ask that you be a presence of peace as this group comes together, and for the citizens, that we may, by very good example, and many that came before us, learn to come and to live in peace, knowing very well the consequences when we don't. That when all are hurting, or one is hurting, we all hurt. When one is in need, we are all in need. And so I'd ask that you would guide and be counsel in this council today. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Public comments. We have public comment.
Who do you start with?
Well, I was gonna start with Mrs. Miller because I knew she was coming. Welcome. Hi. So this is Mrs. K.S.A. Miller. She has been working to get an address to build a new home in Atchison County since September 19th. Thank you for summarizing all of your steps that you've been through for me. That was very helpful. And Gary Service is here as the Walnut Township trustee, who's also involved with this. And then Jody Service, thank you for the wonderful job you did building the road for Mrs. Miller in order to get her house. So I was made aware of this. And I know it's public comment, but I just want to preface for everyone to understand the situation, and then I'll turn it over to you. I was made aware of this in a workshop setting, because on Tuesdays from 9 to 10, we have workshops. So February 27th, I was made aware that you were struggling to get an address. And my exact words was, I was frustrated and I felt like you were getting the runaround. And so in that meeting, I point blank asked what we needed to do to get you the address. And I was told the solution, Roger Jensen said the solution was to remove the minimum maintenance road designation by resolution to Walnut Township. And that was the morning of February 27th. So it was my goal to leave that day and get it done for you, because I knew that you'd been working at this for months. So at 5 o'clock that night, I had worked with Joe Snyder, talked to Gary Service, and sent an email to the county councilor to draft a resolution for our next Tuesday meeting, so we can get this done for you. Gary agreed that the road looked great. It was to his standards and likings. Joe also did. So I sent that email on February 27th. I didn't hear anything at all that week. And I followed up Sunday night, March 3rd, with an email to the county councilor to ensure that that resolution would be on our agenda for Tuesday, the 5th of March. Didn't hear anything back. Roger had sent an email on 7:45 a.m. of Monday, the 4th. Do we need an acknowledgement of right of way? So then I kind of saw the writing on the wall, because a lot of times what is said, then that turns into what we're requiring. So I notified Mrs. Miller. I felt like this was going to happen, and we got in writing from the Millers and the Ernsons on the east side of the road, permission for a right-of-way easement in writing. And then I brought that to the commission meeting on March 5th and read the resolution, called for a vote to remove the minimum maintenance from Trago Road, and I was voted down 2-1. So nothing happened the following week. And then we got an email on Thursday, March 21st from the county councilor stating he believed the resolution to remove the minimum maintenance road could be put back on our agenda. So I immediately sent that to the clerk's office and added it to the agenda for Tuesday, March 26th. The commission had the same approvals as we did on March 5th, only the east side of the road. But we all passed it that time, 3-0. So I hadn't heard anything back. And so on Friday, this past Friday, I followed up with K.S.A with all the parties on the email. Roger, Joe, Garrett, everybody was on, checking in to make sure she got her address. And I got an email back that now we need a driveway clearance from Joe Snyder and approval of the floodplain management application. And then the county councilor followed up with Mrs. Miller for a follow-up on the right-of-way. So Mrs. Miller summarized hers. She started this process in September of 23 when she attended a Walnut Township meeting to request information about steps in order to bring a road up to standards. She spoke to Gary Service on the 21st and gave standards needed in order to improve the township road. So in mid-October, she met with Joe Snyder and the contractor, Mr. Service, to discuss what is needed before improvement began. October 31st, received approval from the Atchison County right-of-way permit for road improvement. Beginning of November of 23, the road improvement was finished. On December 18th, she visited the courthouse and spoke with Roger Denton and a coworker about the address and road improvements. Roger recommended for her own good to get in writing from the township about maintaining the road. He also stated he would send an email recommending to grant her the address on the improved road. January 5th, dropped off road and bridge entrance application. February 27th, application brought before commissioners, requested to draft a resolution and for the township road. March 5th, voted no, easement documents requested. March 15th, Tom and Karen Ernst and Kevin Cassie Miller, easement documents completed to the courthouse. So thank you for coming, because I don't know how else I can help you get an address. And I apologize that it's taken 8 months and we still haven't gotten it to you. And all you want to do is build a new home and add to the tax basis of Atchison County. So I just wanted to summarize for everyone here what's going on so that hopefully we can get you a solution today. Because I know you had said your contractor is beyond frustrated too, that he's not getting clearance. And if you don't say dig in May, then you're digging in July, which for construction background folks, I understand, and that's frustrating as well. So.
Yeah, I just feel like we've done everything that each
person in this, each part of this process, we've went out and did exactly what everyone, we've gained all the information everyone has told us what we needed to do, and we followed through and did that. And so we just, yes, as you stated, we've had to push back our contractor now months, just waiting to be able to break ground. And so I guess I'm just coming to see, what we need to do. This is the last thing, that we've been waiting on for months to be able to break ground. So I don't know what else.
Casey, can I ask a question?
Yes.
Every one of these township officials is elected. And we're elected to maintain our own township, so how did this thing get so far out of hand that the township cannot tell her to go ahead and build? Roger Dent's not elected. He shouldn't have any say whatsoever whether she gets a driveway or an address. It should be up to these guys right here that run the township. None of us adopted the road standards. And I don't think any of us are gonna. So why can't this lady get her, why is the county commission involved?
So I also have those questions, and this must be something, and I wrote specific questions so we can all get answers, because I've been getting questions and I don't have the answers, and I think it might be commissions prior to me, but I'm trying to understand all of the things, because we have a floodplain management application. We have, and the purpose of it, who enacted it, who enforces it, I'm not sure. We have a neighborhood revitalization program, which I know is to promote new growth in Atchison County, which is why you can't begin digging.
That's what's holding us up, because we need the approval of this
And
in
that's,
order to get the tax revitalization program in order to break.
and that's such a benefit for our county.
The township's call to tell her yes or no, not shouldn't come clear up to you guys. That's why we're elected to do those things.
No, I'm hearing you. I'm just trying to understand as well.
Well,
Because the neighborhood revitalization program is enacted through the commission, which is a great program, right? It's an incentive. Build, guys, like, let's add to the tax bases so the burden is lessened for all of us.
Casey,
What's that?
it don't look like it's working right.
Well, it's definitely not working, and that's why I'm trying to find out, like, who enforces that? And then the new address issuing. Who is issuing the addresses? When was it enacted? What's the criteria? Why? Who enforces it? Because it's been as frustrating for me to come through this process with you, and we're told we don't have a process. Well, obviously there's a process, because we're being held up and I don't know where it is. And then we have a driveway entrance application. And so I think that right now we're trying to intertwine them all like this, and there's a roadblock, but like, if the girl wants to build her house on her land, dig the basement and give her the NRP application. Like, she's turned everything in for the neighborhood revitalization.
Technically, you don't have to have an address. I just did some construction on one of my farms on a building, and the address is 326th Road with a legal description. They passed that and give me the rebate thing.
I believe that KPNL, rural water and everything require an address before they will service that.
So
Am I
give her an
correct?
address,
The-
simple.
Huh? That,
Well,
and that's not us.
Just be done with it.
The thing is, yes, until that last document is approved by the commission, then the tax program can't be approved, which is what's holding us up. Yeah,
I know, but
But-
You're talking about a culvert application, is that the
the
last one?
driveway, yes, yeah.
That's if that's a township road, that's our driveway. If they give her a driveway, that shouldn't even be a county
She never get
issue
to this.
on a township road. That is our responsibility.
Well, and I feel like the neighborhood revitalization should be separate as well. Like, you turned in that paperwork to the appraiser's office. And if you've turned in everything, granted, so your contractor can dig your basement and move forward. I don't know.
Somebody's trying to take power away from the townships is what it boils down to, and that's not the way this works.
And that's why we're all here today too.
You want to explain statutes?
Well,
First of all, I'm not here trying to hold anybody up, but let me finish, please. A few years ago, at the township meetings, we talked to the townships that wanted to go by the county rules on entrances. Some approved, some didn't. Okay, you did not. You did not. Walnut did, Grasshopper did, and Center Township, I meet with them on their entrances. I personally don't want to have to go out and meet with these entrances. If they're on a township, that's fine, but those townships did. So those are the townships that we are going out and look at their driveways, their entrances, other than the counties. And if I'm misunderstood, somebody tell me a minimum maintenance road to be brought up to a normal local road or whatever. Is there a statute, Pat, that says that that has to be okayed by the county commission?
By the county commission, no.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, by the. There's a statute that has the county engineer to develop standards to give to the townships for the development of roads, for maintaining a road base or developing a road base, et cetera. So there is a statute for developing road standards. And I don't think that's been the problem here. When we did have the issue about the issue we talked about with not having road records that support Trago Road having been approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and there having been an order issued by the Board of County Commissioners to the county engineer at some point to open Trago Road in this area. And so to make sure that we didn't end up with the absurd position that we had landowners on one side of the road saying this is definitely a road, and landowners on the other saying, well, this isn't a road, you're trespassing, get off of my land. I developed a grant of right-of-way document, and we sent it to the landowners, and the landowners on the east side of the road dutifully signed it and returned it, and the landowner on the west side of the road apparently hasn't yet. I don't know where things stand.
So was that road we fixed up, was it on the map?
No,
I don't
It's
know what
not.
it was.
It's on my map.
no, was not, is now,
It is on. my-
because we extended it.
It was on this map before.
Well, there was a little bitty chunk of it,
That's what
which
we
was
made.
that little bitty entrance. Now we've gone
Exactly
600.
where up to the top of the hill, where it's going in.
How to get designated a minimum maintenance
Yeah, that's
road?
what I'd like to know. If
It wasn't
it wasn't
even
on road, it should never
If
been
it wasn't even on
designated a minimum maintenance road in the first place.
I've still got.
And basically what we did is we went down and fixed her up. with
Yeah, you
private
asked a
drive.
question, you want an answer?
Don't get smart about it. I wasn't being smart. I'm just asking questions. If it's not on the map, then we fixed a private drive. Go on, walk out. I mean, hell, that's what the problem is up here.
Right there, Bob. But if it doesn't, Pat, does it have a legal right of way through there? You can't find anything.
Half of it does.
Well, half of it does.
Now, but I meant
prior.
yeah.
to that.
I meant before.
But before that, no, we couldn't find.
Well, what would be the problem with just considering it a private road? And she has built a split driveway to access both properties because the property line would be in the center of the road.
There's no problem with that.
And she could put her mailbox on 210
Sure.
and eliminate this.
I
whole
believe
thing.
that was even an option, and she says she wanted a Trago address.
Yes, and you want it to be
No,
at the end of your driveway, right?
Having that as a private drive has never been given us an option. You're saying is to be, we would
Yeah.
like our driveway to come off of.
It's
the
on this
road that
map,
we
and
made.
as far as the township's concerned, we're gonna keep maintaining.
So, I mean,
It's been that way.
if it's a
since I
private
was
drive and we put, it's not necessarily where our mailbox is, it's where we would like our driveway to be. We improve this road, we really like our driveway to come off of that new rather than 210.
Well, if
The
that's
new road
considered
you
a
paid
private
for.
road, you can do whatever you want.
What?
The new road you paid for.
Yes, so I mean, if
That's
you
where-
wanna put it at the private drive, then, I mean, but we've never been told that was an option. We've been talked to numerous people and we just feel like we've done everything that everyone's asked us to, and then something else has been asked, and then, so we just don't know, is this ever gonna end, at what point
And she's
RPA
exactly
comes
right.
in.
I even helped them fill out some permits to be able to
So
get
for
that
no
thing
right
fixed.
of way, why don't just use it as a private entrance? And the property line would be in the center of the road, so both sides have access. Cause you built the road straddle the center line, so both properties have access at that point. And you could put your address on 210 and I'm gonna keep maintaining the road, it's on my.
I mean, what would be the concerns that, what would be, are there concerns with that?
There's no concerns on the township's part.
So the problem should
But
be solved. Let her have her address and let's move on.
So who issues the address to the taxpayers of Atchison County?
I think he just
Walked
walked out.
Just walked out.
So
Well,
Roger
and-
issues the address.
Part of it is that I was in December, spoke with Roger about having my address off of that Trago, and I guess that's why I'm confused too, because he shared with me that, you know, we talked all about having the road off there, and he said, looked at his coworker and he said, let's send an email to recommend, to saying, we're gonna recommend giving this address. And then I guess my confusion is then when it's finally brought to you guys in February, he said, I'm not giving an address. So I guess my frustration is if in December he was planning to say that, then we could have started discussing this back then instead of now we're mid-April and we've put off building our home months and months.
So the, right of way, has that ever been established? Did the
We
person on the other
received
side of the
that.
road ever get that?
We have not,
Not-
we
not yet.
attempted, he lives out of state and he's elderly and honestly, I don't know, he says he's gonna do it, but we've been waiting a month now. I'm just at the point where I don't know how long it's gonna take that we're waiting on him to make this, again, basically, he's setting the stage for something we've.
Okay, we went ahead and approved though that it could be on the basis that it had been a road. We approved that. So then, since then, I was under the impression that that was the last hurdle. So what has happened since then?
So I
Because
have,
I haven't heard anything since
Yeah.
that was 2 weeks ago.
no, absolutely. So I have another question. Who at Atchison County contacts and works with these people that we need the easements from? Who is contacting them and working with them and staying on top of it to say, we need you to sign off on this easement? Who's doing that on our team?
Well, I don't think it comes up often enough that we have a real process that we use for it, because
So has
this is
anybody
the-
contacted Mr. Ernson on our team?
the only person that I've been in contact with is
Okay.
K.S.A.
Well, just to let you guys know, I contacted Mr. Ernson. I went out and took photographs and developed them and put sticky notes because the man's in his 80s and that's how people work, right? When you got to put yourself in the shoes of the people on the receiving side. And I know an 89-year-old isn't on social media or reading things. So I went out and I took photos and I coned off his 30-foot easement and I sent him a letter with a copy of the easement we need signed, explicitly asking him those things. He verified he received it. He actually just tried to call me during the meeting. So we're hopeful that we're gonna get the easement and the right of way. But what if we don't? Are like, those are the things I need to understand, because why do we keep not giving someone an address on their own property?
Well,
And
I don't
that's a
think
hang-up.
it's not because of that, because we approved. We took away the impediment was the minimum maintenance standard, and we took that away, correct?
We were told that's the only thing we had to do
Correct.
on February 27th.
so-
However,
So the
March-
easement wouldn't be a problem anymore, correct?
well, when you watch the meeting that when we,
Before, and then the next meeting, it changed what you needed.
exactly,
The
it's
first
changed
meeting
every
said
time.
That you needed to do that.
I was trying to
and
get
then the next-
clarification on
Yeah.
the meeting that we didn't vote for. I was trying to get clarification because I was under the understanding that we had to have the 60-foot right of way. And since I wasn't going to approve something until we had it, then I was led to believe that we could approve it that had been an existing road with a smaller right of way. And then that's when we approved. So then I thought that was the last hurdle. And that's the last thing I know.
Why do we need a 60-foot right of way?
I second that.
I have enough utilities all around me. I don't need my road closer to my front door. I think 40 foot's plenty.
Yeah, 60 foot's too much.
So I was told it's a statute.
And that's what I've been told. Any new roads, and I'm not here to cause any
No,
problems with
but
anybody.
this is good
But
because
this
this
is-
is the
and this
information
is-
we're being given.
And I want everybody to understand, we are trying to come up with a process so this doesn't happen again. This is gonna be painstaking and take some time to get there. But through this circumstances right here with you, K.S.A, we have got to, as a group, as a commission and as a group of people within the county who deal with this daily, we have to come up with a process so this doesn't happen anymore. And input's great, but we have statutes, and I don't know the number of it, but any new road after a certain time that is being declared a road has a 60-foot right of way. Before that time, like some roads are 40, some are 50. But this is a state statute. This isn't stuff that we dream up. This isn't stuff that we come up with just to come up with. I want to make sure what I'm doing is right. So that's the 60-foot right of way. There is a statute. I'll try to find it and get it sent to you that after a certain time, any new roads are supposed to be 60 feet.
That's on a new road.
That's on it.
Yeah,
That's
new
right.
road.
We're not talking about a new road.
This road didn't even exist. It didn't have a right of way, so
We got 30.
it shouldn't even been made
Right
like
of way
minimum
roads.
maintenance to start with. If it doesn't have a right of way, I don't know why we were maintaining it, but we were.
So right now, what is the holding up the address?
I understood from that meeting that we were at, maybe my understanding's not correct, but my understanding was the direction that was given the staff was to issue the address once the road right of way was received. The grants of the right of way.
That's what I understood. I understood that we were to issue it when the right of way was taken care of. Now that's me. And I'll do it whenever I'm supposed to, but that was my understanding.
So you got 30 foot of right of way. She can use 30 foot of road. Give her address. You got a trustee here telling you to give her an address. The road's been fixed up. Give her the address today.
And if that's not feasible, if it was me, I'll just go back and use it as a private drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine too, if I'm able to do that,
No easement.
Also, we had asked, you had made comment to Casey about who from the county was reaching out to Mr. Ernzen, who's
Yeah, I just,
somewhat, and we were told that you wanted to get it yourself. I mean, I was told that you were gonna be the one to get it from him. And so
so I just wonder on our side, who's following up on that to make sure it's done? Because if we require it, we need to be the ones initiating. Like, if I'm requiring something, I need to go get it. Like,
but at least I was told that since he was elderly, that he didn't want to be upset by county people approaching him, that it was gonna be,
oh,
yes. That it
That
was
was the
gonna,
impression I had too.
maybe that's what, I wasn't for sure who told me that.
he was,
I'm not sure where that came from.
Yeah, I
but
don't
we
know
did- My father said I would attempt to contact him, because of course, we were trying to get this to move along as quick as we can, but it's not, I mean, he attempted to reach out to him and talk to him, but then nothing has happened on the other side. So I'm sorry for that confusion. We were, but there was, I guess we were not saying no one else could. So we are just attempting to do whatever we could on our side to get it done.
yeah, I think what you're remembering is in the workshop, we were told by staff that this wasn't the first time this guy has heard this. We've talked to, I think they said grandpa, but it wasn't her grandpa, but when we were talking about it. But either way, he's been great. He's very receptive. He appreciated the pictures. He's complying because I'm just trying to help you follow what I'm told we need to do.
Agree to the
That's-
right of way.
That's my question I've been asking, because here,
Is the county gonna condemn it?
Well,
Can't do it without I mean,
well,
you
and
gotta
there's,
have a full right of way, not half.
well, and you know as well as I do, there's a lot of landowners that live across the road from another landowner that, by goodness, you're never gonna get cooperation. So like, what are those instances?
I think it's your three job to do a road viewing. And then either take that to eminent domain and compensate the landowner. It's your three guys' job to go take care of that right of way. On a discrepancy like this, that's what the county commission is for.
Well, I'm hoping he's been very receptive to my phone calls and pictures, so I'm praying he's gonna tell me he dropped it in the mail today and we'll have it. Cause I sent him a self-stamped envelope. He can send it right back to my mailbox and I'll bring it up and give it to Pat and we should be. But regardless of that, can we issue her the address? Like, these are the things. And if we have rules in place prior to us, can we rescind the rules? Because this shouldn't happen. It shouldn't take 8 months to get an address.
Well,
I mean, if
also-
you guys are
also
saying-
add to that,
Go ahead, I was just gonna say, I mean, if you guys are saying that I can use it as a private drive and have my mailbox at the end of 210, then. I mean. That works for me,
I feel like that works for you because you're desperate at this. Like, if you want to come home at night every day of your life, you want to pull over on your road and get your mail and go up your driveway. Like, I see what you're saying, but like, we should give you your address on Trago Road that you built with your money to bring it up to standard. Like, I'm baffled at
But
this.
how much longer is she gonna wait on this? I mean,
So Roger,
he might respond to you really quick. You know, the other Mr. Ernst, he might.
it's been
may
1
not.
month since we reached out to him, and
Didn't it-
so.
Has there been-
He's,
but what if he doesn't? Say he doesn't.
Yeah,
Say he
well,
calls me to
it's
say,
been
I'm not
over a
doing
month,
it.
So
Then
that's my
what?
point.
Yeah.
Have you been following up with him? Because it seems like it's been,
there's been conversation, he says, yeah, then he said, I didn't get the paperwork, well, his son's got, I mean. His memory is not well, he's not really in the place to be, so we'll talk to him one time and then it's like he's asking us the same questions the next time, so. So that's, I think Casey's, what she did was helpful to have things in front of him, but I just don't know how much longer, if it's took him a month, to.
We don't want to wait on him to say yes or no. And if he says no, we can't grant her an address? That doesn't seem right to me.
So maybe what I suggest is, being as how you are in contact with him, you guys meet this time next week. If you haven't heard anything, got any paperwork out of him, plan B is give her an address. It's on 210.
I think we should give her an address today.
I do too.
Well, I mean, I'm all for that, but
I've got a question and I don't know, can we issue that on the right of way that we have, which is for a half a road? It would be like, I don't know, according to statute, whether we can do it with the right of way we've got signed. Because it's be like having 50% interest in a piece of property and you're gonna build a house on it, wouldn't stand. That's the reason, that's what I was basing my thing on, is we needed the signatures to get this to go down the road.
Either way, she's got 30 foot of private easement to get to her place. There's no reason not to give her an address. She can use that as private drive at 30 feet, however she feels fit to use it. So you got that now.
If that passes the legal muster,
Yeah.
But there's
I'm
already
for
a
it.
road there. It's not like you put in a new road, you brought the road back up to Shea.
well, but the only thing is, it didn't, before we did that, it didn't show up on the map. It showed up.
Well,
as
yeah,
no
but
road
there's
there.
several of them out there that
I
won't
know,
show up.
but.
But there is a statute, K.S.A. 68-116 provides that new roads have to have a right of way of not more than 120 feet, not less than 60. So that's the new legal standard set by the legislature. We don't have that. If this is, and we had, this was what started the discussion, is the uncertainty about whether or not there had ever been a road grant of right of way and an acceptance of that by the Board of County Commissioners, which is the exclusive entity to open and close roads in rural areas of the county. What I understood was that by agreement, the landowners were both willing to give that 60 feet. And that would solve the issue that you would have a 60-foot right of way, which is the minimum that's required, and you would have a grant by the landowners on both sides. If you don't have that, I think you could either vacate what's been filed and allow them to term this as a private drive. I don't see any problem with that. That could certainly be done. Or someone would need to file a petition with the Board of County Commissioners to open a road. And that's the process of opening a road, is that landowners file a petition asking you to open one, and then you appoint road viewers, and they,
But isn't that a vicious circle? Because to open a road, then you're gonna have to have the 60-foot right of way. You're still gonna have to have it.
It's never been closed,
Yeah,
but
because
you
our
can't-
resolution stated we were changing it from minimum maintenance to a,
right?
so it's a minimum maintenance road. Doesn't it have an easement?
No.
well,
Well,
were-
it was maintenance, it should have already a road. It was already a road.
You know, over the years, it's
Road.
changed. I think it started out at 20. And, then went to 30 total, not just each side.
Are there just?
there's no question it's changed, and I think the original one that we looked at was for section line roads. It was set at 3 rods, which I think is 49.5 feet. And so we always had this tension about when was this road opened, and if ever, and so what is the right of way width? And that would, there are a lot of places in the county where we don't really know. We know that it's at least 30 and it's up to 60, but we don't really know. We're trying to avoid that problem because by getting something in writing from the landowners, we went with the minimum standard today. So, but it is certainly the case that there are more narrow roads. We had one, in fact, down in the same township that I think was only a 20-foot road. They couldn't even turn their equipment around really on, but we did find road records that supported a 20-foot road. So
So the biggest
So-
issue here is on the maps, it shows it's not a road. So you gotta redo everything to get it there. But even though it's marked minimum maintenance, there was a glitch in there. So it sounds like me to be able to get her address today. You just need to rescind everything. and
So today,
take it
if
back
I
to
could
a
just,
Private drive.
yes, I would love to do that.
And Henderson said there's no problem with that, so vote on it.
No, I know. I think we should give you your address previous meetings, you said you already have an address dedicated for her, right? Yeah,
Absolutely, and I said, if the commission tells me issue the address, you've taken it out of my hands, I'll issue the address.
but that's, this is the problem though. It's been since February and I've been saying that, but I'm only one of 3 commissioners, so I can't get anything done. So I apologize for your delay. I would make a motion to have Roger Denton issue Mrs. Miller her address today.
Hold on, before you do that, can I talk to Cassie for a minute before you vote on anything?
Mhm.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, I would love that. Second question for you.
So can we talk about some of these while they're doing that? Like,
So if Walnut Township doesn't want us to do the entrances, you guys get together and vote and tell them, and we won't, because that was done a few years ago, because you guys all decided not to.
Who
And
knows,
some of the-
even in our archives record, our clerk does this for a job.
Okay, but that's why I'm involved in your entrance,
Yeah.
is because at that point in time, everyone was asked, and there was three townships that wanted to, and all the rest of them didn't. So that's why I'm involved in their entrance.
Yeah.
And if you guys tell me you
Is
don't
the
want me to be,
entrance
that's
Her
fine.
driveway fine? That she's
Well-
got?
Well, I don't know exactly where she wants her drive.
No, I meant from 210. Off of 210
That-
onto
I
her
don't
private.
see a problem there.
I think today if you guys are saying that you can allow me to have my address on 210 and let that be a private drive, that's what I would like to do.
So, Roger, you're the one that issues new addresses, correct?
Yes,
So I would make a motion to have Roger Denton issue Mrs. Miller an address per her request, effective today.
I just want some clarification, make sure that we all know,
Yes.
because knew the address that you were to get, but didn't receive officially, correct? I mean, has that been baked into anything?
No one
Because
has,
this is gonna be a
I
different
have
number.
not
and-
heard anything from Roger Denton with an address or anything. I've not
Okay,
used
I was
an
thinking that
address.
because
She hasn't been
That's
able
what-
to use it for anything.
No, I,
to officially use it, but know it, but maybe have it baked into records or things.
I appreciate that, but no, we've never. been
Okay,
given
because
an
you're
address
not
or
gonna
anything.
have the same
It would be
number as what you
210.
would have, and I
Right.
wanted to make sure you
Sure.
knew that before we voted on it.
I
So-
did that.
One more quick question. So if Mr. Ernst sends back his right-of-way sign today, the commission's already taken it out of a minimum maintenance road and made it Walnut Township's. We've done that. It's done. It's signed off on. So it's gonna be a Walnut Township road. We've already done that resolution. So
It's gonna be.
I think it's probably better to issue her the address, just like we have the signature accepting it and move forward. I mean, we already took it, minimum maintenance to a Walnut Township road. They're supposed to be maintaining it. You built it, you spent the money to bring it to their standard. They should be maintaining it.
And I can't, I bet they will, but I would approve it as a private road today to get her address.
And then we-
Then amend it later.
Okay, and I just wanna understand, cause if he sends this document back, then at that moment, we'll make a motion, Pat, in our meeting to change it from a private drive to the Walnut Township Road.
I mean, you pointed out the inconsistency that is inherent here and, I mean, it was several years ago that the townships, we asked the townships for a list of roads that they wanted designated as minimum maintenance roads. And Walnut Township responded with this road. At that time, nobody went to do any checking on whether or not what the road record situation was and whatnot, but we've said in some of the things you've said have been along the lines of, well, let's just vacate this and have it not be a road and this just be a private drive. And that's okay, you could do that. But the other part is, well, let's just wait and see what happens, and if we get the grant of the road, then it's a road. I don't know that you can just leave that ambiguity in place for all time. I think it should be resolved one way or the other, whether it's going to be a road or not a road. But it doesn't make any difference.
My
to me.
suggestion is she leave it as a private drive, and she can get both landowners if they're agreeing with it and do some paperwork with the township. If they want, or that would be, yeah.
Okay.
Not that
now.
this has anything to do with what we're talking about today, but it kind of does.
Yep,
So the road that we have improved is only a portion of that Trago road. So at what point then, if someone wanted to continue that, is this gonna be a huge issue again? That's where part of my concern is that if we make it a private drive, then it can be a private drive, and in the future, that's not gonna be a concern.
So that's part of what we've been worried about, to be
It can
quite
be a
honest.
private drive and you can have a dozen mailboxes down on duty.
Yes, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
as opposed to if this amount of that road is changed and then in a few years, it needs to be, are we gonna be up here and everything's gonna be confused because we don't know what to do or how to do it?
I've got another thing to add to that. What about the maintenance of the road? If you declare it a private drive and then it's extended, it's still a longer private drive. Is the township gonna maintain it and clear snow and things like that?
Well, and that's.
It's a private
that
drive.
can be an agreement between them and the township if they want.
The road is not closed. You're just basing her address off the easement she's got for a private drive, which he said is not a problem. We're not closing the road. We're not messing with that road. We're just getting her address on what we got now.
I'm
I
asking
think
this
that's a
to,
good deal.
I want to do this to protect her because if it was declared a private road and then you get a different board in a couple of years, and that's private drive, we don't need to do this, and it's officially, then you're creating a problem in the future. I don't,
You're not closing the road.
So-
and no, but it's declaring it a private drive.
And she's got a 30-foot easement.
So my,
Correct, but what about the maintenance is what I'm saying,
I
the
know
snow
what you're
removal.
saying.
and
So
that.
should we
That's
rescind?
between the townships.
So what, we just passed a resolution. Should we rescind our resolution and then issue her the address on a private drive? That way, there's nothing the county commission said stating this is a Walnut Township road, is what I'm saying. Like, cause you followed the documentation, and if someone that doesn't know pulled up, well, the county commission said it's a Walnut Township road, why aren't they maintaining it? Well, then now we're saying it's a private drive. So I want it to be, does that make sense? We want it to follow along. So do we need to rescind our resolution, Pat, and issue her the address on a private drive?
That's a policy decision. I think it's probably in her best interest in the long run, over the years to come, for this to be a public road. That would have its own 911 address and would be publicly maintained by the township. But that's not, I don't have a stake in that. That's really up to her and the other landowners. She doesn't, I really think you may know more in a week, because let's say what you're expecting to come in the mail comes within the next week, then I think everybody would be of the opinion that, well, of course, there's a grant of a road right of way that's been recorded, and, you know, I think that would be better, but that's not instant gratification.
I understand your concern and I appreciate that. Can you tell me then if in a year, one of the properties north of us on that same road would like to build a home and have an address? Would they be able to do that with the road? Because without having to do this whole process again on that road, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense, and kind of the question back is, are we going to still have ambiguity about whether or not there is a grant of road right of way from the owner on the west side of the road? And if there is, I think we're doing a disservice by perpetuating that ambiguity for the future.
I feel like it would just put us back in the situation, or not us, but the property owners to the north of us, that they would be then looking to the owners on the west, whoever it would be at that time, to dictate whether they get to build on that property, because if they aren't able to have an address on Trago Road, then they would not be able to.
And I completely understand what you're saying, and I think that if that were to happen, and I think with all of this fiasco that's happened here, we would know, to start the process much sooner, what to look for, require those things right up, because if you would have known when you first came that you needed the right of way, this would have been happened much sooner. Now you're up against the time clock with your contractor and everything. So I think that would have, even if it took a while, it would start much sooner, because they would
But it
know
would still depend on the acceptance of the other owners of the property, whether that would happen.
of the right of ways. Well,
Yes.
it's-
So if I say today that I would like to have an address on 210 and have that a private road, then that would not happen. Am I understanding that correctly?
I don't think we can guarantee that, because it's still come down to
I mean,
right
because
of
if
way.
that private road
Yeah.
would still be extended, they could extend that private road.
If the township wanted to extend the
If it
private
would be up to
road,
the township.
that would be a township thing. We
Sure,
wouldn't
sure,
be
but
involved.
you guys, that's what I'm,
Yeah, I wouldn't have any problem with that. If the township is fine with it, I think that'd be fine.
So,
Again, though, I think you're gonna want to have something in writing to protect both of you with the township for maintenance.
That's what I suggested.
Yeah, and then they could extend, if the road was extended as a private drive,
That would come back to the township and they would determine at that point, but it would not need to come to the commission to go through this process. It would be.
The only thing would
Yeah.
happen is when you did your tax refund thing, your address or whoever's yours, anybody else's will have a 210
Sure.
address.
Sure.
Yeah, townships don't have any authority to open or close roads.
Oh, yes, I
And
understand.
so. And townships, it's up to each of your township boards, but there's a really great argument that. Government entities should not be expending public funds for private uses, so.
Do we have like
They
a?
shouldn't be maintaining private driveways. I mean, I'm not gonna go on a witch hunt or anything about whether that's happening, but. You have problems in the future with in perpetuity. Whether or not the township is gonna maintain
Sure,
the driveway,
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the road used to go through all the way through, so it was a road.
That's what threw the monkey wrench in the whole thing is when it come up on the map. It's
Incomplete records, yeah.
But you, Cassie, you could agree, even if somebody else would extend the road on further, you could have an agreement to share that road.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, you could make a lease or whatever agreement or an easement to cross.
So I just feel like today
You're in
that is
control.
what I would love to happen.
That, should we, maybe have the state change the regulations on that as far as township roads are concerned?
You're welcome to lobby the legislature.
Because it seems like this is gonna be a huge mess. With all the right of ways only, basically 30, 40 feet. And then, an existing road and then one, if they wanted to build a new road, then it's gonna be 60 feet. You're gonna have 30 feet roads, 60 feet roads, 20 feet roads. It's gonna really.
And technically, the commissioners in the past have decided not to close any roads because they don't want them closed because they want people to build on them.
We do too.
And we do too, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, it's like,
Yeah.
until you have a need, but when there's a need, then it turns into this, that's what makes me hesitant to adopt anything with regards to roads or.
And I mean,
Or
also
any-
maybe down the road eventually, when this whole thing gets ironed out a little bit and everything gets on a same track. It's not to say they couldn't go back and apply and change it. Yeah. Once things kind of evolve, get more clarified, might be 5 years from now, I don't know, might be 10.
You're not closing the road, you're just giving her an address based on what she's got today for an easement. And that's where I think it ought to go.
Well, and moving forward, if anybody comes to you, Roger, and asks for an address on a township road, we should grant that, correct?
Absolutely.
Well, I got a
Absolutely, yeah.
question about why can't you issue a address on a minimum maintenance road? If it Pearson.
Well,
chooses to
because
live-
there are concerns about whether or not ambulances can get to the property.
Well, okay, Pat, I thought about that over the weekend when I was traveling. Some of our roads are river road down there. And several of them, we've got miles of minimum maintenance roads, and say there's a train car accident on the railroad tracks.
Yeah.
Is the EMS and the ambulances are all gonna transverse that minimum maintenance road to give needed service to those people? They're gonna have to.
They're certainly gonna do their best, I'm sure.
Well, and I was thinking that why, if I wanted to put a getaway cabin down there in the middle of a 5 mile a minimum maintenance road, and I know that exists, why can't I go ahead and do it and get an address so I got tax basis on it?
Should be.
Regardless if it's minimum maintenance or not. That's my choice to live there.
But it should be up to the township in their township district to be able to say, Roger, give them an address. You shouldn't have to go through all this Mickey Mouse.
I agree.
Let's give her her address today.
Dave, please,
Yeah, that's what, she made the motion.
we need to vote on it.
Well, I believe the motion that you had wasn't with the private drive.
Correct.
So
Should we rescind the resolution, or will our motion supersede it, is what I'm asking, for clarification?
Well, I think you should clarify it one way or the other, and if you're clarifying it to say that that you're not considering this to be a road, you should rescind your prior resolutions. In my opinion. If you wanted to wait a week or 2 weeks to see if the other paperwork's gonna come through, I think that's an acceptable amount of time to have that uncertainty, but as
Okay.
long as you've relayed to her that that's your intention, that you're
Yep.
going to,
Perfect.
if it doesn't come through, that you're going to determine that it's not a road and essentially close it.
Which we'll have that answer today, I feel, but I will make a motion for Roger Denton to issue Mrs. Miller her address based on the improvements she paid for on Trago Road to be a private road at this moment. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
It's not really. up to
No,
me for
please, go ahead.
discussion, But, do you need a new application then for it to be off of 210th Road? Or,
I don't think we do.
so,
We can issue it based on what we've been given.
and it would be and the address would be a 210 Road address?
Absolutely. And again, when we first started this, I think we told you we could issue you an address from 210th Road. But Trigo, we always wanted to get that Trigo Road situation straightened up. So now we're
Yes,
back to
yes.
that. And
Yes.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't even have a problem with issuing a Trigo Road if you tell me that you're gonna be able to get this right of way in and it's gonna be fixed.
We
You
have
know,
a sign for
I
the
just-
Trigo Road too, the address sign right
Here's-
now, so. I mean, it's,
I think you got a question back there.
Yes, Bill.
Even though supposedly this road was a minimum maintenance road, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that road's been in there probably for years. Right?
Yeah.
I bet it was a mail route way back, cause we got some of them in our township. The thing of it is, when that road was originally established, didn't they get an easement from both sides of the road?
We don't have the records, correct?
So we've not been able to locate any record about it. But there were also a number of roads that were opened by statute with the legislature saying section lines are roads.
Right.
And if they were opened and traversed, then they became public roads without any action by the Board of County Commissioners. But there's really no place to find good evidence as to whether or not the first 610 feet north from 210th Road on Trigo Road was one of those situations or not.
There is no record of it in the road record.
Yeah, but we looked at 1880 plat maps and it wasn't on there. I don't remember the specifics about, but we looked at a number of different sources trying to find evidence of whether or not there was a road and it conflicting. Whether or not there was an open road there.
So at this time,
It was.
eventually it might resolve itself
Right.
in time, once everything becomes more, get everything straightened out. As of for now today, so she can get something going,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Can we make a motion either or? Cause Mr. Ernston's called me 3 times during our meeting right now. So we're gonna know yes or no today.
call him back,
Yeah, going back.
call him back.
We'll sit here and wait.
Okay,
We're all here, call him back.
well, sorry, I kind of might have to yell a little bit. Takes him a minute to get to the phone. Mr. Ernson?
Yeah.
Hey, this is K.S.A. and you're on speakerphone in a commission meeting with several townships and Mrs. Miller and commissioners. You had called. Okay.
I didn't get there. We'll start over again.
Oh, I just wanted to let you know that I missed your call a couple times, but we're in a commission meeting right now. But I assumed you were calling me based on the Trago Road information and.
I think I told you I'd catch you sometime later today. I wouldn't want your job.
Oh, bless your heart.
Yeah, oh,
Did you find the information helpful to see? Okay, and are you willing to give Mrs. Miller that easement on the road so that it can become a public Walnut Township road where they'll maintain it?
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yes,
Is
sir.
that road actually surveyed?
I'm not aware of any survey.
Not the road. We're not aware of a road survey, no, sir.
So.
From the,
That road goes straight through to one of my farms way over there, passing. The Corpsines way over that way. That road was, one time when I was a kid, I went through that road with when a truck about 6 years old.
yep,
Uh,
that's what you had said, and that's what we're talking about, remembering it used to go through, but it doesn't now, and we're in the meeting right now, and we're just hopeful, that you're willing to work with us to get that easement, and if not, there's another plan, but we're just hopeful that you were going to,
I won't speak to you a while, and you go back to your meeting and I'll talk to you,
okay,
okay?
so do you think you're willing to at this point? We just, yes, sir.
The other one,
Yep. No, that, I appreciate it. I'll call you when I get out of the meeting and we can visit, but I think I got what I need at the moment. I appreciate you.
okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, so I would make a motion that Roger gives Mrs. Miller the address based on a private drive at this moment. And rescind our resolution. Do you have the resolution number where we made it a Walnut Township road?
2024-1537.
Okay, and rescind 2024-1537. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 2-0.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm sorry it took so much time, but I appreciate you guys thinking about different options and.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
We're here to help the public. That's what public service is about.
Inconvenient.
Well, I think there's a lot of misunderstanding.
Yes, I never felt like anyone was not wanting me to be able to build or anything like that. I think there was just it appears as if there's a lot of different things going on and some confusion on what the process.
Well, you can see that there's a lot of different angles that are being considered. And I do want to put a plug in for what we're trying to do with the future of having the plan is to be able to have a process that this would get started when the first application and fill in the blanks, and it'd be a checklist. So that's what we're angling for, and this is like the perfect storm to show the need for that.
But also on that note, I would like to speak because when recommendations come to us, there's a reason, right? And it's like, why? And sometimes we see it on the inside as a need based on what department heads or staff are telling us. But when we hear we need processes in place, we don't have them, but then we don't have them, but this process is taking 8 months and we keep telling people no. That's concerning to me. Put a backpedal and say, okay, what processes are in place? What needs rescinded? We got to change this so that it doesn't take 8 months to build a new home in Atchison County or to get an address. So it's just, it's a learning lesson, and I appreciate everyone paying attention and asking the questions because I value input and I try my darndest to ask the right questions, to make sure I'm working on the best interest of my constituents. And I apologize it's taken this long, Mrs. Miller, to get you what you need, but we got there.
Good
And
luck with your build.
yes.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Yeah,
Yes.
we come up from the townships on this, the road resolution you guys want to adopt about the K.S.A maps and your road standard. Our board voted not to adopt any of them. We feel if the county wants to do that on county roads, that they maintain that is fine. But a township, we feel that we need to be a little responsible for our own roads and not be dictated from you guys exactly what that's gonna be. And I think that's why a majority of us are here.
It's a consensus between all of us.
Yeah, my board decided the same.
Okay,
So it can't be,
so we have
You're right.
Lancaster, Walnut, Mount Pleasant, Shannon,
can't be on.
Capioma. Do you have a list of all those, Joe? Do you want to write those
I
down?
have all of them written out, Joe.
She's right, I saw
Okay.
you right here.
Thank you. Okay,
Good job.
Because the issues with the right of ways and stuff are gonna be problematic that I can see down the road. Some of the roads are not closed. And if they will be open, you know, for people to build and stuff, we're gonna have the same problems down the road. So I don't know whether the state needs to change the regulations governing the townships to leave the right of ways in existence there on future roads, or what? Because you're gonna have 60-foot roads, 40-foot roads, 60, 20s, and then you're gonna have a 10-foot wide bridge down there.
We already have
So,
that.
yeah.
so then also while you're here on the townships, on these programs that historically have been in place, are we able to give the townships authority to approve these programs? So as far as like issuing a new address, if it's on a township road, they have authority to say, yes, issue the address?
I think that would solve the problem you had here today. A lot.
Well, the only thing that the township would be taking over is, the placement of the entrance. Is where the entrance is going to be, that would be a township responsibility, but the development permit is part of that process, and so that involves, the floodplain, whether or not the construction is going to be out of the floodplain, and whether or not there's going to be a sanitary system of some sort for the property, and making sure that that's still located on within the property. Those are all gonna be county things, so
So
you wouldn't have the township take over those responsibilities.
Can we separate those programs out so that your neighborhood revitalization on building a new house isn't tied up to the other ones? Because to me, if the neighborhood revitalizations to promote the new growth, they all are separate, but
They
yet,
all are separate, yeah. The
Okay.
neighborhood revitalization is those decisions are made by the appraiser.
okay. I was just making sure that, so the appraiser would be that, not, so the townships would just work with her on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, where this came up with, I didn't see this as a attempted power grab by the commission. It was that you were approached by a township with, if you don't have speed limit signs up and they haven't been adopted, the speed limit's 55 miles per hour. And of course, these roads were built when we're talking about buggy traffic. And now we're talking about some of these roads have a significant amount of vehicle traffic on them, and building an entrance that's going to be a pretty major entrance over the crest of a hill so that there's not a sight distance is what caused the concern. It was the township approaching the county with, hey, we don't think this is safe. Can you all fix this? And you really can't fix something that's already done, but you can make sure that you don't issue any new permits or approve any new entrances onto roads without having considered 55-mile-per-hour traffic on a gravel road wouldn't have time to stop if somebody's pulling out of this drive. And to try to make things safe. And so that's why it came about, that it was a request from a township at least in this case, for the county to take over the responsibility of approving the placement of entrances for safety concerns. And, you know, I don't know how many of the townships are familiar with AASHTO design standards. And I'm not trying to get into any sort of argument with the townships that are here, but that's how it came about. It wasn't it wasn't a push by the county commission to say, well, what jackbooted authority can we exert over the minions that live within our county to show that we're in charge here. That's not how this came about. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent, so.
But that is.
That's exactly how it
That's how it came about.
Holly, you have,
So there is verbiage within the neighborhood revitalization program application indicating that the checklist of documents needed prior for approval. And one of them was for the floodplain management application.
okay, so we just need to look at that because to me, it's like, especially in her instance, when her contractor's been wanting to break ground for 4 months and it's like, let's approve it. She's gonna build, she's gonna add to the tax basis. And then,
And I also think that, any sanitation codes would have to be a standardized county thing, so
which
that's
that's
another.
pretty standard
That takes into
anymore.
consider- Yeah,
So some of that can't be separated. But yeah, I'm for giving the townships as much autonomy as we can.
I agree.
But there's certain things that are kind of baked in that we're not gonna be able to separate.
Well, I just want to ask that when I saw the meeting where you wanted to adopt this resolution over our roads, that we get notified if you guys push that any further on trying to adopt a resolution on. I watched the meeting 3 times. Still don't even understand exactly what you're after about designated roads and. Because if somebody missed a road in a prior administration that we've been using and you guys adopt this resolution with these roads on it. You've got to come up and get with you to say, well, this road should have been on that map to begin with.
I believe you've had multiple times, and I know Roger, every township meeting that we've had that I can remember, update your maps. We want to have those things on record. And he's told us that after every meeting, then they go back and they update what the township board has given him, or roads that are open or closed, or different things that have happened to them. And then we've also offered the minimum maintenance roads. Some townships took us up on that and some didn't. But that's always up for the townships to adopt or not. Though that's not, if we pass it as a county level, then it's up to you. We asked if you wanted to join. That's not, we're not telling you you have to do it.
I would like everybody to understand, we're trying to be a good service to the county. We're not here trying to be a disservice. We're trying to have, like Roger with his maps and everything, have it to where people can look at them and see them and understand what's going on. Our intentions are not to be a disservice to the townships or anybody in the county. I just want everybody to know that because we work hard to try and make things better. So
I think that part of what we've seen today would be taken care of if we had a uniform standard and have a checklist. Because there is no process right now in place that's a uniform process. And I think that if we adopted the standard, we would have that. So that's what that is headed for.
That I just discussed with her. So when we did that road last fall, if we would have known if it wasn't even showed up on the map.
Yeah.
Listen,
that's a case for, we would like to have a uniform standard, but we're gonna have to move on, Madam Chairman.
No, absolutely, but, okay. One more thing while you guys are here, because this is another thing we're looking at as an issue that pops up, because we have one-offs, right? That when they're boil their head, this is what you do, you have to make a decision. Are the townships allowing, NRCS like tile terraces to tie onto your culverts and drain, on township roads? Are you guys tying into them? What's your standard practice on that?
There gotta be a distance between the culvert
Okay.
and the tile outlet.
Okay, I just want to,
They
we
cannot be
have,
hooked in.
we have a few not be hooked in, Bill?
No,
Okay,
I mean, they can run to it, but they can't be hooked together.
okay,
We do in certain instances where if you got a 30-foot hole right alongside the road and the landowner wants to size the pipe accordingly and put the right riser in, we let them because we feel that fills that hole in and takes away safety concern for us.
okay.
And it does not impede the drainage if NRCS is involved and they size everything just right.
Okay. Anybody else? What you guys are doing? Okay. Cause that's something that has reared its head and we're gonna have to come up with what works and just, it's hard when the county's making a policy on it and stating it's based on statute, but then Donovan County is doing it or a township's doing it, because to that, you know, people don't, it doesn't wrap around their brain, why they can do it there, but not for the county.
Every situation can be different.
Yes, sir.
So you
Absolutely.
don't want to put a standard because it may harm in one situation, but help in another.
Mhm.
So if you say, well, it's gotta be just like this, you might be doing harm.
I appreciate that feedback very much. So. All right. I would like you guys to stay around. I got a lot of feedback last week, so I was gonna go over some commissioner comments I think you might find helpful too, but approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from April 2nd?
So moved.
Been moved. I will second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0. Okay, commissioner comments. So I received probably the most feedback that I have last week on several different things. One was concerned was the transparency that the commissioners are giving to the public, which again, this is why feedback is good for commissioners, because what I think we're doing great. We've changed our meetings to where the majority of it is all recorded. I would love it all to be recorded, but it's right now we have 9 to 10 workshop and then the rest recorded. There are things that we make decisions on that we get information emailed to us throughout the week, or we get it in the workshop. And so I'm really bad. And until I got the feedback from this constituent, I'm bad about faking it, right? If you ask your questions at 9 o'clock and you get your answers, you're going to make your decision in the open meeting and people aren't going to know what that is. With that being said, I'm going to be mindful of that and try to reiterate what the information is that we're getting. They were concerned that we're having several executive sessions that wondered if they were warranted. This year has been something, and I will guarantee you every non-elected personnel executive session has always been warranted, and it protects the privacy of the employee. Elected officials, you can't go behind closed doors and talk about anything. It's only non-elected personnel. Concerns about the spending of road and bridge. And they feel like we're excessively spending. So I wanted to touch a little bit on that. When I became commissioner, didn't get a lot of info. We've came leaps and bounds since our finance director came on board. And when he came on board, we found out that we had over $900,000 owed on equipment and road and bridge. And we had a bridge bond that was being paid out of county general, so it wasn't even in the road and bridge in their budget. So for you guys, when you're looking at what we're paying and the line items that are going for road and bridge, all those costs weren't encompassed in there.
Even that 900,000.
Correct, even that 900,000.
Wasn't that in bond and interest?
Yes, and then the lease purchase, but either way, fast forward, we've taken all of that, we've rolled it into the road and bridge so you can see the true costs. We've shrunk that down to where we only allow him to have a $200,000 threshold for lease purchase. That's all we're paying in a year for payments. So when you see like this particular constituent said, oh, $800 and some $1,000 we're spending on road and bridge. And it's like, what? Like we have a budget, we set the budget. Everybody's been more than happy to see the budget, but we paid all of that equipment off that was owed with cash that was just sitting over here. So we're now down to a road and bridge budget that's lean with 200,000 threshold for payments each year.
It used to be 370,000.
Yep, I
So
have
we've
all
cut
of
it $170,000. And it's all coming out of my budget. Because when I took over, it was coming from places we didn't even know.
So Yes, thank you for that. And so we have all of that documented from 2017 on. You can see what was being paid out. If anyone's interested, I'll probably scan this and post this because we're not hiding anything. We want to be transparent as all get out. We've noticed our strengths. We're not asphalt people. We traded our asphalt equipment because we're chip and seal guys. Like, we're gonna outsource our asphalt because we need to have professionals that do a quality job and it'll last and all of the things. We have a list of all the equipment, the years, the warranties, everything is being used. I was asked about some backhoes not being used. Talked to Joe about it, requested the information. Everything on our inventory is being used. They've done a great job of inventorying it all, years, what it is from your snow plows, your miscellaneous. We have an asset list if anybody's interested in looking at it. But it was apparent that this has been conversation around the county of concerns of the commissioners doing a job, doing our job and due diligence with road and bridge. And I just want to make sure that you guys know that we are asking the questions and we are saying, well, why are we doing this? And getting the answer. So if you have feedback of how we can do better, I mean, we're always open to hear it, but it was really eye-opening to hear that feedback because a lot of stuff, like I said, when you're in the motion of this stuff and then you get hit with like a topic this morning, sometimes you forget that, to ask a certain thing, but we are riding herd. We are understanding it. One question, not to put you on the spot, but I forgot. This is a question on the engineer on Independence Bridge. We have the engineer on the wreck. When the engineer looked at the bridge, did they just look at the specific part of the bridge, not the whole bridge?
They looked at the first part was the damage from the
Okay.
drainage.
Because that was the only
So-
thing. They weren't concerned about the money spent on it. They know it had to be done, but they were like, why wouldn't the engineer have looked at the entire bridge the first time?
Well, so with that wreck, I decided to address the deck if we could at the same time. The deck has been this way since 2014. So I felt like if we were going to have someone come in, do the work, that would be the perfect time to address the deck situation. And that's why we did what we did, and we figured about how much money I thought I had, and we had a little bit more. We need to fix the deck and the overhang while we're there, in my opinion, and you guys felt the same way. But when you get someone mobilization in there, that saves a lot from another time. And while we're there, we would like to fix it while we're there instead of waiting. Because if we wait, then there'll be some other fire that comes up that will take that time or that money to put it out. So.
And then we also have a list of all the traded and sold equipment that we've done
Yes.
to bring replacements on. So if anybody's interested, there's nothing, we want to be as transparent as we can.
And that information, when she asked for it, we had it. It's not like it's something that I just drew up in 15 minutes. We had it. So-
And it's kind of like that one instance, right? When we talk about one piece of equipment, we need this because we need to do this for constituents based on what they're telling us we need to do, whether it's trim brush or clear the stop signs. We've had that, where you can't see around the stop signs. There's just always an instance, but having it all here in a document where you guys can see everything that Road and Bridge has, if you're interested. It seemed to be a pretty big topic in the county that people want to know what's going on, and there's no decision I make that's a secret. Period. So, anyway, that was my commissioner comments for today, just letting everyone know if you have concerns, feel free to let us know and we have the answers. So Eric, you have anything?
No, we just need to get this back on
Well,
track with the
and
agenda.
I apologize, you guys sign up for times, but as commission, we have to put people at priority, and that's what happened this morning. And I apologize for your delay. I hope you understand that we are cognizant of your time, but we can't just keep pushing things to the next week. So, all right, Tiffany Hoffman, Atchison County Conservation District, 2025 appropriation requests.
Good morning.
Morning. Thanks for the information.
Do you have a copy of everything that I sent you?
Yes.
Budget,
Yep.
Annual report,
We got them.
okay. I did bring extras if you need one. And it looks like, the district this year is asking for a total allocation of 31,518, which would be the same as we asked for last year. State appropriations, estimated matching funds from the Department of Conservation, out of Manhattan would be $38,529. So those would be the matchings. I wanted to talk a little bit about our, kind of our cost share programs for the year, so you could get an idea of what we did put back into the soil, in the county for the past year. Our state cost share program, that's money comes from the Department of Conservation out of Manhattan. There's two pools of money. One is water resources, one is called non-point source. That is your terraces, your waterways, outlets, sediment basins, try to fix the erosion issues that we have in the county. Our producers come in and sign up from March 1st through the 31st, and then come July, when we get the funds from the state, they have a ranking system. So that's how we rank to see who gets funding. It's not just, I know you get funding. There is a process that we rank to see who gets funds. Last year, we had over 20 applications. This year, we're about the same. With those allocations from both pools, along with our KRPI, which was some cover crop, we were able to put $98,340 back into the county, into the soil. So that's quite significant from the past years, due to the Department of Conservation has been working with the legislatures in trying to get more money for erosion. That's something that's never going to go away. This year, even our pools for this coming year, which is considered fiscal year 25, those pools, our state cost share funds went up. Our water resources funds went up from 17,000 to 38,000. And then our non-point source, it did go down to 11,000 from 15,000. But those are because a lot of those funds, the non-point source pool is used for septic systems, and we haven't had a lot of requests for those in our county. So they're giving us more money to go towards for the farmers and the crops and the soil erosion. So that's kind of why there's a little bit of discrepancy there. Okay. They did ask me to touch a little bit with the National Resource Conservation Service. We do have 28 active EQIP applications through NRCS. And those are millions of dollars that are, we're not able to pull a report anymore from the national level. But we do have 28 active applications. And we do have, they've processed from April 23 to 24. We have 73 eligible applications in play right now, and we have 15 that are approved currently. We do look to have a few more approvals come through within the next month or so. And then the rest will most likely producers choose to roll them over into the next year, which would be next year about this time when we start approving those applications. Have any questions, concerns for me?
No, not on your request. On the NRCS side, do you think there would be any assistance for landowners if they need a way to stop erosion at county culverts? Like, I'm not sure, like you were talking about the EQIP applications and assistance, because everything costs money. And we've been looking at certain situations where maybe instead of dumping right there, it needs a bubble up or needs riprap. And obviously landowners have to pay for those things. So I didn't know if there's any assistance where maybe we could work with you to say, here's the issue, and maybe help them at all, or.
It's going to be on basically each situation is different.
Perfect.
Coming into. So
Okay.
My suggestion would be I know Joe's come and visited with NRCS.
Yep.
My suggestion, when those things come up, contact the office. I can put you in contact with Jeff. He's
Okay.
the district supervisor. Or we can also have a technician come out
Awesome.
and look at that for you and give you ideas and things that they can work together. So landowners can get
help. It may not be a lot of help, but every
Yeah.
little bit helps
Every little
more,
bit
so
helps,
that would be my
absolutely.
suggestion.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
And we will have, I don't know if you see on the budget, we have a DOC technician position that has been vacant for over a year, and we're trying as hard as we can to recruit. However, the district did request a summer intern position that is paid for from K.A.C., which is our Kansas Association. And we did hire someone last Friday to be a summer intern. It is a paid position, in hopes that this person is going to graduate in December with an ag degree, is very much interested in it. And so we're hoping that we can get him his feet wet and he's gonna, really enjoy it. And then we can hire him as that DOC technician, and then he can slide into an NRCS permanent position.
Awesome.
So that's kind of where we're looking at, but it's a $20 an hour position for a summer intern, which we thought was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
That
And
is great.
it's not given to everybody throughout the state, so they knew that we needed someone in Atchison County, so that's the way we could get someone. So if you know of anybody who's looking for a technician position and is interested in farm work and soil erosion, please send them to us.
What do they have to have as a basic education level?
A lot of it at this DOC level is hands-on. I mean, you're gonna go out with an NRCS technician, and that's where you're gonna get your training. And once you get that training, it can move into that government paid position with full benefits.
All right.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Stacy Waggle, Solid Waste Manager, Annual Renewal of Solid Waste Plan.
I went ahead and ran a paper copy. It's not like to read it off of paper, but
Thank you.
I'm gonna bump you up. I just realized. Sorry, I'm gonna bump you guys up. After her.
so we do the annual review of the solid waste management plan every April. And this year, the only change that we had other than the date is, I'll go ahead and read it here. As of August 1st, 2023, both transfer stations will be accepting tires. Tires will be accepted from Atchison County residents, including farms. Atchison County businesses will only be allowed to bring processed tires to the Effingham site. Tires from tire transporters will not be accepted at either site. The Atchison site will accept any tire on rims or tires larger than a super single. The tires from the Atchison site will be loaded into a 53-foot trailer and hauled to ABC Tire Recyclers in Kansas City. The Effingham site will accept tires that are off of the rim and smaller than super singles. A solid waste employee will use a tire cutter to cut the tires, and they will be placed in the tire monofill. Now that's a short paragraph that sums up about 3 months worth of back and forth with the state, but that is what we have to put into our solid waste management plan for what we're doing.
So the Atchison site will accept tractor tires,
Yes.
all tires, and are there restrictions on numbers, at least? I mean, if one
Yes,
person
there
brought
are.
in 50 tractor tires, they're gonna accept them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, 50 is the number for that. Now we have that trailer, and there are times that we're gonna ask people to, if you come in and we're about full, we might send you back with half of them, but wait till we're empty and you can bring them back. We'll still accept them. They just have to be reasonable in the idea that we can't store them anywhere except for in that trailer. We can't throw them off
Correct.
on the ground.
Because I could foresee a rush, but.
And this has been since August 1st,
Mhm.
and it's gone really well.
And I think it's probably helped take some of the first initial pressure off.
Mhm.
But I think that if they see that it's, okay, we can take them, they're not necessarily gonna be coordinating. I mean, I would
They,
hope that.
like I said, this is almost a year now we've been doing
Mhm.
this, not quite, I guess, but. And in the beginning, we did have some big loads and stuff, but now they're just kind of trickling in, and it's advertised, it's on the website, people know.
Great.
Yeah, it's going really well.
I'm all for it. I just don't want there
Right.
to be this glut, if there's like renewed, the first time I'm seeing it. And I've got.
Well, and this is what we send to the state, so this is. And the state knows this is just our solid waste management plan that,
I'm all for it.
we
I just-
renew every year. Yep. Yep,
Did you guys have your meeting?
we did.
Okay, I called Steve Kaplinger to ask him how it went, and he said he got an
He
email
was
he
on
thought
jury duty.
to reschedule it. And
Oh,
so he thought it was rescheduled, and I was like, well, if it is, then that's great, I can make it, but,
no, we had it.
okay, you did have it.
And they did approve this.
Everybody on the committee.
Everybody on the
approved it.
committee was, yeah, it was unanimous approval. This actual document is what, 14 pages long. It's up for its full rewrite next year. We rewrite it every 5 years. So I'll do that next year.
And so on the committee currently is Derek Franklin, Larry Wilcox, Larry Meyer, Steve Kaplinger, myself, you, and Clinton McNamee, Mike Steck, Henry Shear, and Austin Martin, correct?
Yes,
Now, Mr. Commissioner Slattery called me, and he was appointed by the city to take Mr. Wilcox's place. Did Mr. Wilcox come, or did
he came.
Mr. Slattery?
Yeah,
come?
Mr. Wilcox came.
Okay.
The appointments come actually from me.
Well, so you had told me that too, that a county commissioner didn't necessarily have to be on there.
Right.
And so that's why I was asking for the bylaws to see who was on there and like what the terms are. Because Mike was asking me and I'm like, I don't know. I just told her I couldn't make it. And she said, well, that's okay. Commissioner shouldn't be on there anyway. I was like,
It
okay.
actually is supposed to be a community committee. And what they do is then the community can make, it's not supposed to be stacked with government officials, so that the community can give their recommendations to you guys, is
Okay.
what that committee is actually state mandated as.
Okay.
So, and just recently, we've allowed commissioners on there just so that you can take that back. What the committee is saying, you can take those recommendations back. I mean, I bring them back,
Yeah.
but like me and you are non-voting members because we are just there for input to those community members.
Mhm.
So you have a representative for the city of the first class, and that's Derek. And you only need one.
Okay.
And then
So-
we don't have any second class cities, so the third class city is Kaplinger. He is representative of the third class cities. We have a representative of recycling and a representative of small business, which is Austin, and that's actually how that's written in there. It's not supposed to be city employees and
So we
city.
can change that. It's like that can
County
be
employees.
changed. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a county employee, but I'm there as the person
You're
who
not,
who
non-voting.
masses all of this information and gives them to, so
Okay.
these people are representing the people out in the community. It's supposed to be community involvement for
Not-
what the community wants their trash service to be.
Okay. So do you think we should switch that up in the future and get the city and the county and public works off of there so that you have?
And what we have are representatives of, like, I don't know who, Henry is a representative of
Right.
unincorporated areas and Mike Stack is a member of
Yeah.
unincorporated areas. So they're not really, Henry doesn't work for the,
Well, I was just thinking Clinton McNamee, myself,
he
Larry
is,
Wilcox and Slattery.
Clinton is there because we need a representative of recycling.
Okay.
And how do you represent recycling? Well, you need somebody who knows what the recycling, how it
Industry,
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, he actually is not there as a city employee. He is there as a representative of recycling.
Okay.
But he's the person who knows what recycling is,
Gotcha.
but him and me are the ones that
Mhm.
can talk about recycling.
And then did the committee change or what are the terms?
Well, at one time there were terms, but it's hard to find people who want to represent, especially community members, just a regular community member. So we haven't really bumped people off of that committee, or for a long time, we tried to get somebody from Huron. We had a couple people come from Huron and just to get somebody off the street that wants to come represent normally the people that want to represent their community are already on boards and stuff. So it's hard to find just that person who, Steve Kaplinger is a good person for that,
Mhm.
So,
Perfect.
yeah, the state mandate is that it's supposed to be representing your community.
Okay.
not your government,
Got it.
because they're bringing their ideas. And the hope would be that they, Steve or whoever, Derek, would ask around.
Yep.
Ask the community, pay attention to what people are wanting and bring those to our meetings. That can represent, and then we bring that off to you guys.
Awesome. Okay, I'd look for a motion to approve the Atchison County Solid Waste Management Plan dated April 4th of 2024 for the annual review of the Solid Waste Committee and presented from our Solid Waste Director. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 2-0. Couple quick questions. The countywide cleanups coming up April 19th and 20th. Was the board on
Yes,
board with
and
helping?
we are going to put a can in Potter, and I think there's gonna be one in Lancaster too. Larry, Meyer and Austin, we're gonna discuss the one in.
Fantastic.
We do want, as we publicize that one in Potter, it would be
Yep.
nice if we didn't have that mess that we had last year,
Yep.
but
It was incredible to
Mhm.
see a dumpster full of, it was like, people were very grateful
Yeah.
to have that
yeah.
there. So that was great. Okay. We'll make sure and maybe put a sign on there or something. And then I got a phone call. So the gentleman that approached us to purchase the scale house trailer was told that it wasn't going to be sold. And I was under the impression that we were putting it out to bid so that he would be notified. We were doing our due diligence as a public entity to say anybody that wants to
Yeah.
bid on this. So we didn't receive a bid from that person and they said they were never notified that it was being sold. He was specifically told it's not being sold, we're trashing it, and then he heard it got sold. So wondering.
And when he called, we weren't. And that was the first call I ever got asking about it. So that was when I came up here and we discussed it.
I thought one of you guys was gonna reach out to him and let him know, like, hey, here it is, it's out for bid, like.
And we talked about that, and I thought that you did. I mean, we publicized it. It was on
We
Facebook. It was
publicized
on.
and put it on the social media and on the website. I didn't specifically reach out to anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that public.
I thought it was being done, but again, I was like, I'll let him know,
Mhm.
like.
I don't remember conversation that we were specifically going to contact, but
Well, usually the person that brings it to us that they wanna buy it, we let him know that it's for sale.
yeah.
Like, especially when we told him no, so
Yeah.
just wanted to bring it up because it was
Yeah.
brought to me last
Okay.
week, so. Awesome. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right. Joe, are you good if?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to move Taylor Lee Extension Council 2025 appropriation request. If you guys want to go first, since we're running behind today.
You guys have-
Appreciate your patience. Yeah, we have it.
Okay,
and It's pulled up here. You have yours, Eric?
Mhm.
Okay. So,
So we have some exciting news to share. The board conducted interviews last Monday and offered a position to Clarissa Conrad, who accepted our offer. She is coming from, she graduated with her undergrad from Texas A&M, got her master's from K.S.A. in animal science. We're excited about the experience that she brings to the table. She has 4-H and teaching experience, grant writing experience, so she's a really good fit for our county.
and she's not from our county?
She is moving from Ohio to Jackson County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That
A
sounds,
little bit of a commute, but we're very excited about her.
the
experience
credentials and all the things.
Everything
like-
that she has to bring.
And that she wants to work for Atchison County, like, sorry, that's really exciting, holy smokes.
She has some prior commitments that she made us aware of, so she will start part-time on Monday as a PA, program assistant, and she will just get adjusted to the office, make connections out in the community before her full-time starts on June 23rd.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
That's a huge win. I know you guys have been trying and looking and that's fantastic.
So
You
this will
don't
be
have any requirements that they live in Atchison County?
No,
No,
just like with Matt Young, who's the agent in Brown County, he resides in Atchison County.
Just a question.
So we are excited that we're fully staffed for the first time since 2022. We understand that why we haven't received an increase in budget the past few years. But we feel like we've shown growth over the past year. And we've made foundational changes and updates necessary for success within our office. We've purchased things to make the office more functional. And then we have mini goals, which I put in the budget proposal on the back page. So if you go to the second page of our budget proposal, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the information about K-State versus county appropriations. Yeah.
Yeah, where K-State's giving you $37,804.
Right.
Yep.
So then K-State covers 100% of our retirement benefits, which is 8.5% of our salary. And then K-State wants to set their agents up for success. So there is a stringent onboarding process as well.
Awesome.
So you've had, last year you only had one agent for most of the year, and this year you've had one agent for the first third of the year. So you've already had, and it was funded for 2 agents, so we've also got outstanding or overage of, which I don't see any accounting for that.
So it's within the capital outlay reserve. That would be our rollover from last year.
Okay.
And do you have a plan for that, or?
Yeah, we have a plan. We're planning to purchase a vehicle because we have, 2 full-time agents and a program assistant, with some really high expectations of some programs and some additional, things that we want them to be doing with our 4-H'ers, and trying to grow the program.
I would discourage that, as the last one was a catastrophe, having a county vehicle with no.
We have policies in place. That's not going to occur again.
Well,
I can assure you it will not happen again. As long as those of us who are sitting here on the board, it will not happen. We have policies in place, and K-State also has policies in place that will be adhered to.
Well, and I'm looking forward. I know you guys were keeping track of your mileage reimbursements, and what makes sense for you. So after a year of that, it sounds like with mileage reimbursements and then adding another agent with mileage reimbursements. I mean, getting something dependable that may even be under warranty, you're gonna be cost ahead in the future of longevity of success. And
Yes, asking these agents to go out and haul people in their personal vehicles. If we had the ability to rent a vehicle within town, that would make sense, right? We don't have that luxury here. They would have to, drive somewhere, pick up a vehicle, come back. Like, it's just logistically not sustainable.
I think it's important to give these young people the tools that they need to do their job. I mean, they're going to have to make relationships all over the county to take things and to haul children. I think one of the things that the young lady who's going to become the agent has a very strong background in the equine and being able to take children to
Judging contests.
judging contest, or to just introduce them to horses. And it's, I would say, the desk is either an anchor or a launching pad. And I want them to have the right tools for launching themselves into the community.
what is the threshold for having to have a chauffeur's license to do that?
It's over. Well, I drove for Project Concern. And we aren't getting anything near that size, and I don't have a chauffeur's license.
Okay.
Well,
I mean, you would have watched.
It's something above the size of a bus that, the Project Concern uses, or that they use up to college.
Okay, well, I mean, that's something to watch, and also your insurance, if you've got 8 kids in there. There's multiple areas where I would watch my insurance on that.
Do you have any other questions for them? Thank you guys very much for the information and we appreciate it. We'll add that into our budget spreadsheet and
Thank you very much.
congratulations again. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very excited for you guys.
Yeah, I think you'll be very impressed with.
That's awesome. Yeah, feel free to set up a time if you want to come, Taylor, and introduce her to the commission or, you know, we'd welcome it. So congratulations, guys. All right, Joe, thanks for your patience. Joe Snyder, Road and Bridge Superintendent, bid opening for low water crossing culvert, land purchase update and department update. And just want to say thank you again for this information. I mean,
We had it all. That's
Yeah.
all kept.
very helpful.
What was that?
The information of all the equipment we have and.
Oh,
lease
yes,
payments.
yes. I was just didn't know what.
When
you
I
were
requested
referencing.
that after I was questioned about that last week, I requested it and he had it back to me like, and I told him, send it to all the commissioners. And that's why he said per my request, but it's just helpful to have it all
I
there.
just didn't know what you were referencing
Yeah.
here, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's
thinking-
just that we have cut that tremendous.
100%. It's,
And we keep track of what it cost us working on each piece of equipment. We know exactly. We've got a truck or two that are costing us a lot of money, but at this point in time, we can't really do much about it, but we do keep track of all that, every piece of equipment. So I will start with the bid opening when Kaylee is ready for me.
You got one.
Well, that's good. We didn't have any last week, so we extended it one more week. And we have one, so.
And then this one is from Pruitt Construction LLC. It looks like in the amount of $154,884.50. 154,884.50.
Yes.
Sorry, just want to make sure you heard me correct.
And I will review that and talk to Gabe. And I won't be here next week, but I'll be here the week after.
I just have a question on that. Wasn't this time sensitive?
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, it's okay. I assume that.
Well,
that for 2 weeks, I mean, that's my only question is.
I will look it over and I will have someone here, probably maybe Mark, present it next week. Would you do that, Mark?
we meet Monday next week.
Monday, I won't be here Monday or Tuesday.
Okay.
So it's
I mean,
it's under the budgeted amount or what the estimated amount.
Okay, but
was.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
is
it
that
needs to
we were
happen as
concerned
soon as
about
possible.
that, and I just want to be mindful of the time constraints.
Yes. And I have a question that has to do with this morning. So when we talked to Gabe about road standards and everything, I'm talking to him again Wednesday. So do I need to take out anything that has to do with townships?
Well, my understanding was that it was always their prerogative to join us or not. So I was hoping they would come on board, and I think I said last meeting that it's like, I think we pass it for ourselves and then maybe they see that it's working and then they can't, because we can't force them and we don't.
No, and we're not, that's not our intention.
Yeah, and so it's like, I think we move forward with what we're on our end of the deal and then hope that they would be willing to come on board.
Or is there any other thing you guys want me to talk to him about? The language as far as the roads on major and minor collectors and locals. I don't know if we wait until I hear back for more of the information I got from K.S.A. It would still be the same language. It would just be different roads. You know, it's still you're still gonna have major collectors, you're still gonna have minor collectors, you're still gonna have the local roads. So I just was kind of curious. I just don't want to completely drop the ball on this and it's sit there and we don't do anything for 6 months. So
So I think removing the townships, I think that's probably a good idea.
What do you mean, remove them?
Well, I guess what I meant,
The
it was
verbiage is what
like,
he's saying.
so we had a standard upgrading from a minimum maintenance to a
Mhm.
road. Well, if they're not, do we still leave that in there? And then,
We could maybe talk about the language in there, but there's also a statute that requires the county engineer to provide that to the township, to provide the standards to the township. And whether they decide to use it or not, I guess is up to them, but we still have an obligation to provide it.
I don't see why we would remove it, because I think we still would want them to encourage them to join, and
But
that
it-
it would be there.
okay, so then if they want to use it, they can, we have it there for their,
I got one more question on that. If by removing that, it wouldn't change anything, or it wouldn't harm us to have the language there.
okay,
I don't see
No, that's
where, it would just be there in case that maybe the tide will change and they'll see that, okay, maybe that process is working, we like it, and so then they would decide. Because there is no process. I think they want a process.
well, so
But
and
they're not
we
trusting
want,
us
right,
now.
and we want a process too that works
Yeah.
for everybody.
So I think that if we have it in place, then all they'd have to do is approve it.
Or no, or not.
Or not.
Okay,
Have you read the roadway and street design guidelines front to back?
I have, but it's been a while. So
Did you have any concerns with them?
I guess not concerns. Sometimes it would be like, it's not the way I would probably phrase it, but I leave it up to someone it's like when Pat sent us something that's in a resolution, that's not the way I would phrase it, but I don't question it because it was looked and prepared by a professional that would phrase things that way. So I don't nitpick, or that's not the correct word. I don't look for, well.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, well, I nitpick.
Well,
Because
maybe it's a different way of looking at it, because, it's like. I approve of what they're doing is probably not the way I would word it or something. I didn't question it because that's the professional standard.
Okay, well, so, and just so you know, like, I don't change. I have my own mind,
Oh,
and I
absolutely.
use it,
Yeah.
and I share it, and I speak up, and like, so I sent February 29th my response, when he sent this to us before the meeting, like, I read it word for word for word, and I sent back, I had 4 pages of concerns, and so, just so everyone's aware, I'm not at a point of ready to approve anything.
I just want to
have-
give him feedback.
I have,
So that,
yeah,
so I didn't know if there was any more from that, because Alan had sent something too,
okay.
so.
I mean, my feedback's still the same, of
Okay,
my brain and my questions and why we need it. Like certain things, cause to me, it's like, it almost felt like we were lumping, and we talked about this. A lot of things in one document and calling them road standards, when maybe we should have our subdivision regulations separate, because. Like, if this is the task at hand and it needs something outlined here versus. It just, anyways, and I would be
It's
fine
more
to
of
share
like-
you my input, because I just had questions.
I'd be interested in reading that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that
I
might
mean,
say, well,
I just
tweak
get,
the way I'm looking at it.
yeah, I just want to make sure that I'm comfortable, and I'm not yet, so I just want to,
Okay.
yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, so then, Mark and I and Emily had a conference call with, Clint Hibbs with BG Consultants after last weekend. Or last week's, getting the, signed, option to purchase land. It went very well. He's wanting us to get it surveyed as soon as possible. Is there anybody that the county uses for surveying? Is there a certain person or company?
But we have a county surveyor, but the county surveyor doesn't do surveys.
I know.
Yeah,
So I can just.
Is that
get-
something that needs to be bid? Or,
So it'll probably be like the BG consultants, where you request for information and they have their hourly rates, and
Yeah, we don't ordinarily bid for professional services.
No.
You know,
I mean, I was just wondering what,
Is BG not able to do that? Cause
Well, they
Land
just-
Plan was one of our people when we were choosing this, and Land Plan's a surveyor, so is BG a
Oh,
surveyor?
I will talk to him. That was not discussed.
Okay, cause they might be that themselves.
But I'm gonna meet with them next Wednesday and look at facilities and everything and move forward. He felt like the time frame we had, they would be able to have that all taken care of under contract by the end of the year. Now, we don't know what a cost is gonna be.
Okay.
So that is still up in the air, but I've given him
what is
every-
I think I'd like a list of the initial build projects. I mean, what you're proposing.
Yeah, he's gonna come talk to us and then we're gonna sit down and go over that, and I will keep you guys updated on every meeting
Okay.
of what's going on.
Okay.
So I would guess that the main thing would be the main building, you know, and then the fuel system, and then the rest of it, depending upon what we have, we'll have to figure out ourselves.
Just anything that we can look at on the type of building that can be expanded on, you know, we could do our initial build, or again, I think I've said, like, for truck storage, lean-tos, things like that is to me, you know, you may not have that, the initial build, but something that we can expand instead of having to start a whole new structure again, I think is the way
If we
we have
can,
to look at some of this, being able to swing.
Yeah, and
Sorry.
as we talk to him, he's done several of these buildings for other people. And he was willing to take us to tour those facilities to see
Okay.
other options.
I think that's a good idea. Also, maybe the initial building would be a multi-purpose. And then later, we could, as we can expand, then move something out. And then it would be like, I'm thinking more of like the noxious weed or things like that. Maybe it could be contained in the initial main building.
Well,
That
that's
would
what my intentions are, and to leave it there.
be- And to leave it there.
And to
Okay.
leave it
But
there,
I'm
because once you put that in, being as we're moving, we have to have containment
Okay.
for a spill, so that would be something that you would not want to
Yeah.
move, and then it's gonna be.
I was just trying to
Well,
think of
no, and
something off the top of
right.
my head, so.
And then it'd be right there by the office, so when we're selling, it would be close to where we could go get our chemicals, and then possibly incorporating a sign part in that same thing, or, you know, same part of it, and then offices, and a conference room / playroom that is safety in it. So if we have a tornado, I want it to where we have a place to go, because right now we have no place to go. If something like that happens, everybody leaves. I mean, fortunately, that hasn't happened to us yet, but have that safe room to where the employees or taxpayers, whoever's there, can get in case of a severe storm.
Absolutely.
And then the shop area.
I'm very much interested in touring other sites and suggestions, because, you know, I can envision something, but what it may look like might be 180 degrees from what I envisioned. So,
Right, and what's practical, and then also I express that this needs to be built for the future. So like, if we don't feel like we need an overhead crane in there now, have it set up to where someday they can put one in. Now, of course, in new construction, it's best to put it in then, but if we don't have the funds, at least it's there, and
mhm.
and 10 or 20 years down the road, when I'm gone and most of us aren't here, somebody else has the ability to use it in a way that they can afford.
Sure.
So,
BG is just doing our utilities right now, correct? And then will they be the ones helping with the design of the building?
everything,
The buildings as well.
everything.
And the cost for them is, so the reason I'm asking is the feedback, like, people are all for this from the feedback I've gotten. They just want us to be mindful of when we get to the phase of buildings, that our local contractors are priority.
That'll be a discussion that I have with them, yeah.
Okay, so, and I was in favor of that. I was like 100%, like, if we can get our own guys in there to do the whole thing, it would be awesome, right?
No, that's,
And
that's
so-
first and foremost with anything we do at Road and Bridge is trying to keep the local guys, they're for our first option.
Okay, I just
So-
wanted to make sure that that was mentioned and we keep that at our forefront when we go through this process, because sometimes engineering, and this isn't a dog on anything, but engineering takes it this step and our local contractors have the capability of doing it at this step. And so just being mindful of the process and making sure that
Would that-
we get it done economically,
Would
as
that,
Bill-
as a matter of how we go about this, and maybe we ought to have just a meeting on how we're gonna bid it out or what, and that'll be with BG, but, like setting some criteria ahead of time before we get right there and saying that if a local is, I'm just pulling numbers out of there for my sake of discussion here. If 15% or a percentage that it's close, or if our guys, locals are more than that, then we're gonna be more apt to consider the low bid, or do we want to set any criteria, or do we want to wait until, you know what I'm saying?
No, I
Set
know
for
what
some
you're saying.
parameters
So-
beforehand.
The only worry I have on that is then it almost looks like we're giving ourselves an upper hand, and then look what happened with our solid waste. We get several bids and we went with low, and then low removed it, right? So we want as many people to participate, and then I think it's at our discretion who we choose, and it might not be low bidder, but it might,
Responsible bidder.
it's
So we did that on the one road and we've done it on something else, but, we'll talk to them about that. And, but that's something that you guys as a commission need to,
And I asked this person giving me feedback, I was like, well, the company we hired for solid waste was out of St. Joe. And they still consider that local, like in their mind.
Mhm.
Now, to me, local is our Atchison County guys, and gals that have their businesses, but just wanted to make sure that we have that
yeah,
conversation.
no, and then, we'll be meeting about every 2 weeks, I think is what he said one Mark. About every 2 weeks going over everything. So, then I will contact a couple places about getting the, surveying done, and I'll talk to BG about that again.
Thank you.
I know there's somebody here now that's surveying at the airport, whether they would be, being they're here, whether they would be good or not, I don't know. We have the Kansas County Highway Association meeting in May 20th, 22nd, and it's at the Prairie Brand Casino. This is very close. This is a spring conference. It hardly ever happens. And then coming up on April 24th, we have the Northeast Kansas Highway Association, which is the Kansas counties in the northeast corner of the state. And last year it was Jefferson County, so it was in Oskaloosa. And it is the 24th, and the last day of registration is today. So I want to pass that on. I am in the process of coming up with 2 lists of on-system bridges and off-system bridges to apply for next month. And I will bring those 2 lists to you with the locations and what roads. So you commissioners can help me decide which bridge, or make the decision on which bridges you would like for me to apply for. And I will have the criteria. I think I may have already sent to you guys, but the best would be, they have to be in poor condition. They're looking for bridges that are in poor condition. Fair will help. They have a ranking, and if it's below 3 on 3 or 4 structural width substructure, then that helps also. So I started with our master list that we presented you last year, and I started at the top. And if it was a dirt road, I didn't even look at it. I just went to roads that were gravel or paved, and I went through one list of the on-system bridges till I got 5 that I felt met the criteria, and then I started on the off-system the same way. So,
you narrowed it down to 5?
well, I went down 5 of each from the top of the list.
Okay.
From the,
And you're gonna send us those 5, and you'll give us that information as far as,
yes,
and then we will have that discussion of how to prioritize them.
Yes,
Will you have traffic counts on them?
they
bus
have
route, mail
some
route?
bus routes, definitely mail routes hard. We have to kind of, they won't give out their routes. That's very small.
Really?
So we have to kind of look at addresses and see if we can figure out that they are, but they don't like to give that out.
Interesting.
I would think that if you talk to individual carriers, that you might be able to get some of that information.
Well, some of that information, the government does not,
Not officially.
yeah, not officially.
And
So
you're gonna get us that information. Well,
I've already got them listed out. I just have to finish getting all the other information and location pictures, I guess.
okay,
If you want pictures or if you want to look at your maps that Roger made for us, then I can tell you which bridge it is and it'll show you if you have that availability here in the meeting.
okay. Is there a chance we can have that this week? If you're gone next week, that would give us next week to kind of think it
I
through
will do my best.
and get you an answer.
I will do
'Cause
my best.
when do you want an answer from us on?
Well,
that?
I would like, let's see, I'll be gone around the 23rd or the 30th, no later than the 30th.
Okay.
And then I am going to be sending in my annual report by Friday, probably Friday. And if the townships, I hope they've got their information. Have you heard anything? Is Michelle here today? You don't know, okay.
Been down here already.
All right, well, no, so we asked for that information to be here by yesterday, so. That's what my intentions are. I don't want to be late with my part, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And that's about it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Joe, we have a list of surveyors in our office. If you want to stop in there,
Awesome.
Kim can get you one.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah, there's area ones that come up here and do it, so.
All right, well, thank you.
Good to know. Thanks.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Awesome. Shelley Campbell, Register of Deeds, 2025 budget workshop.
It's gonna be in workshop.
Oh, I'm sorry. So we will recess into budget workshop. Is that what we,
Are we gonna do the rest of these all?
we
in
have,
budget workshop?
I don't know, we haven't been consistent, have we? The first budget meeting was,
In a workshop.
oh, they have this.
The last one you just did was in a workshop.
Okay, so we're gonna recess into a budget workshop and then we're gonna come back out though, because let's see, 30 minutes and 30 minutes and 30 minutes for an hour and a half.
Just sit there and come back in when you're done.
Okay. Well, but also there's other things that are being scheduled after that, so I'm just trying to get a time frame.
There was a request. for
Yeah,
executive.
I
Okay.
responded yes, so I just wanna get us a time frame. So if it's 12:15 in an hour and a half. 1:45. Okay, so I will make a motion to recess into a 2025 budget workshop. Until finished, approximately an hour and a half. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye, passes. 3-0. Thank you. Okay, we are back in open session. And we will have about a 10-minute executive session, attorney-client with appraiser, county counselor, and HR, please.
Okay, I will move that the Board of County Commissioners recess into executive session at 1:42 PM for consultation with an attorney for the public body, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship as allowed by K.S.A. 75-4319 and that the purpose of the closed session is to protect the confidentiality of the discussion, and that the board come out of executive session in 10 minutes in the commission room of the courthouse basement, and those present will be the appraiser, HR, county counselor, and the 2 commissioners.
Okay, I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-2. Extend it for another 10 minutes.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to extend the executive session for 10 more minutes.
Okay, I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
2-0 passes. Sorry, I didn't get that number.
So.
I know you-
need to
I-
have
yeah.
More in the future.
So
on this.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
I know you're gotta go. Can we extend just a little bit longer?
For just us?
Well, I mean, same one, if you,
Yeah, we can.
like 15 minutes.
15 minutes
Yeah,
more?
yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion. We go 15 minutes more on an executive session.
Okay, I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 2-0. I always say 3-0.
Okay, and I just want to make sure you have them because I know being part of that board, it's like, how do we reach people that they need to plan for this at the, their septic system at the beginning of this process, and so, and then they know who to contact and where,
Yes,
so that's kind of what was in that brochure.
Yeah, and I know they have some next door too.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure, because
Yep.
I know that that was something that we had done, and it's been years ago, but I hadn't checked up on it lately.
Yeah,
And the owners property, like that name owns the property?
Yeah, it's not, I don't find him in the database.
I don't either. Yeah, I don't either.
let me go double check that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't show anybody along there at that.
Okay.
Is that something that we could do even expand on, is like have a brochure or something there to do all the checklists of all these things that we're talking about? And so the public would be aware when they come to. Of course, we'd have to know exactly what we were gonna do on what we expected if,
Right.
but then there would be a checklist of before you
Mhm.
build,
Yeah, whether it's
You
a
need to
house,
do
whether
this.
it's a shop, whether it's a,
yeah. And I think that would help. And then, things that are required, some things that are suggested maybe, if they're not required by us, but I think in the long run, I think we need to explore that a little further.
yeah,
Thank you.
okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Appreciate that info. Okay. Unfinished business, anything? County councilor updates? We did that. Approval of the expenses. Do I have a motion to approve this week's expenses as presented?
So move.
Okay, and I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0. Public comment. Seeing none, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 2-0.